Hey, speaking of Brucey bonuses, this is new one on me. Bruce has an IR radiation sensor here and a display, but what he's now bought himself, thank you eBay, is a rig to do some calibrated measurements. So Bruce, what's this?
This is a basic an optical bench to allow me to measure accurately the power of various illuminators, both LED and laser and VCSELs. Basically we can set the illuminator up in here. We have a sensor here that measures power, and we can adjust the alignment up and down, side by side, and move it backwards and forwards to measure the power at different distances. We can focus the emitter to find the maximum, the tightest beam it produces, right. And then we can record the values.
And what wavelength is this right now?
This is 790 nanometers.
Right, 790,
which is why it's a bit more visible.
Which is why that red glow is showing from the laser dot.
That's right.
So if I put my hand out, it's a visible red, infrared laser, but it's visible.
This is 790 nanometers because these lasers were developed mainly for tubed night vision.
Right.
The first types of night vision available, and they were actually more sensitive to visible light than they were to infrared. So the wavelength that's being used has to be nearer visible light than the 850 we normally use.
Battery's suffering a bit, so it's showing 64. It's gone down from 80 a minute ago. It's showing 68 milliwatts, 69.
I think I might be putting a fresh battery in here.
Okay, but anyway, this is Bruce's device to align the sensor, IR sensor, and measure the output of these various illuminators.
Now we can also
that we've shown you.
We can also install a camera, I believe, which we're for measuring LED illuminators. It's a little bit more complicated. We not only have to measure the power, we also have to measure the size of the source. And to do that, we actually have to take a picture of the source when it's working. So we remove the power sensor. We put in, we're actually using a Pardo 19 as a camera because it takes nice high definition still pictures. We mount that on there. We switch the illuminator on and we take a picture of the actual illuminator source, and we can make some measurements of that, and you do a calculation on the brightness of the LED or VCSEL illuminator.
Something Bruce just mentioned, traditional lasers like this, laser pointers, are a bit different. You can see here on the little decal, the battery is inserted with the positive end at the rear, away from the laser end. Okay, just a little fact.
There we go. See it burning a hole.
Yep. And that's a 100 milliwatt traditional IR laser.
And you can see how tight the spot is.
Yeah.
You see it's quite happily burning through the plastic.
Yeah.
Okay, you wouldn't want that going into your eye.
No.
See all those holes that have been, tracks have been burned by that little laser. So that's an example of a traditional laser, still available, but I honestly can't say that I would recommend that anyone would buy this for digital night vision use. If you look at the video that Russ did before, when we use this laser, you can see how poor the illumination was. It's very powerful, but as soon as you open up the beam, it starts to get all swirly and horrible. It doesn't give you an even illumination. So they don't even produce what I would call a nicely illuminated area. Mm-hmm. For me, the big issue with these is safety. These are just really rather dangerous, and I would not recommend that anybody buy one of these.
Okay, recording again.
Okay, so the next stage in illumination or infrared illumination are LED illuminators, and we've got some examples here. These three are all LED illuminators, and they all use pretty much one particular type of LED made by Osram. It's called the Osram Oslon AS, and it is far and away the best LED that we can use. And if I get a wee example of what actually goes on.
Some more props.
More props.
Very bulbous lens, isn't it?
So the LED is that little square part in the middle,
Oh, right.
and that fits inside the torch. And sitting in front of the LED in a movable housing is a lens, which is called an aspheric lens, which means not spherical. And that lens, basically, depending on how close you have it to the LED, will catch the light of the LED as the light comes out like this, and it will turn it into a collimated beam.
So here's a close-up. This is what Bruce was explaining a minute ago. That's in the centre here. That's an LED transmitter, emitter rather, for infrared light. And this is the aspherical lens, big fat lens that collimates the spread out beam into a more parallel beam. But that in the centre here, right in the centre, that's the LED emitter.
That's the whole idea of these torches, and you can see they all have these. This one's got a huge lens, this one's still got a pretty big lens, and these have got a somewhat smaller lens, and this is smaller again. And when you look at the parts, they have exactly the same thing, but it's even smaller still. These lenses are used pretty much universally to get what we call a collimated or a parallel beam of light from the LED. The LED itself, without the lens, would simply spread light so wide that you wouldn't be able to get any range at all. And by moving the lens backwards and forwards, you can make the beam go wide or narrow. You can go from flood to spot. And all of these illuminators have some device, some control for moving the lens backwards and forwards, towards and away from the LED, so that the beam changes from a flood beam to a spot beam. So that LEDs are the safest of all the illuminators we use. They don't have the power to damage your eyes, unless you do something really, really dumb, like stand and look at it like that for 10 minutes. That might hurt your eyes, but other than that, they won't hurt you. And we have tried every LED illuminator in every setup we can do it, and we cannot get any of them to burn one of these.
Right.
They simply don't have enough power to burn through the black plastic bag. So LEDs, very, very safe. Honestly, you know, it would be an unbelievable set of circumstances before you could damage your eyes with an LED illuminator. And as I said earlier, for non-high definition night vision equipment like the Photon, the Drone Pro, and the DIY home builds, LED illuminators are more than good enough. So I would, if you have any safety concerns at all, then stick with an LED illuminator. The problem with that is, of course, that once you get to something like the PARDS or the ATNX site or the SiteMark Wraith or the new high definition pulsars and Yukons, they don't produce enough light to give a good image with these high definition sensors. Which leads us on to the final category of illuminators, which are the VCSEL or VCSEL illuminators that we mentioned earlier. Now, these are actually lasers, but they're very, very different from that earlier type of laser I showed you. These are actually what we call laser arrays. They're made up of lots and lots and lots and lots of very, very small, low-powered lasers built onto a single emitter surface, about the same size as an LED. And in fact, we can treat them pretty much like LEDs in terms of how they're mounted, how they're powered, and how we focus their light. For comparison, side by side with the LED is the VCSEL. The VCSEL is actually that very, very small gold coloured square in the centre of the white box.
Okay.
It's somewhat smaller in terms of the LED, as you can see here, has actually got a moulded lens fitted over it. The actual surface of the LED is about 1mm by 1mm square.
Mm-hmm.
The VCSEL is about 0.5 by 0.5mm square, slightly smaller. But the packaging is similar, and the way that we operate them is similar. The difference is that they produce a huge amount more power in terms of optical power, how much light they produce. I would say that most VCSELs are producing about 10 times more light than a typical LED.
Right.
And it's that high power of light that they produce that allows us to get high definition night vision equipment to work. But the downside is that they are more dangerous than LEDs. They're not as dangerous as the traditional LED, traditional laser, but they are more dangerous than LEDs, and you do have to be a bit careful with these. So, if
you've got warnings on them.
they've got warnings on them. Yep, they've got warnings on them. Not necessarily always very accurate in terms of what they say, but they do have warnings on them.
Right.
We'll do a wee test here with a couple of these VCSEL lasers.
Oh, you're doing the bin bag job?
Yeah, we'll do a bin bag test.
Go for it.
So this is the Syrius SRX. It's rated at a 500 milliwatt laser, and it pretty much is 493 milliwatts.
Right.
And we've got it focused down a beam, a tight beam. All of the infrared from the SRX is going straight into the sensor. I think you could probably see that, Russ, can you? If you come round like that. Yep.
Yep, we see the,
You
the,
can see
the mobile phone.
The mobile phone picks up the infrared going right through the hole in the aperture, right into the sensor.
Which we can't see with the naked eye.
Which we can't see with the naked eye, and we're measuring. So that's the light that we're measuring on the meter.
493.
And if I put the plastic in front of there, you can see it just burns a hole right through it. So 500 milliwatts of laser power burns right through the plastic in no time at all.
Okay, so this is my Black Sun Dark Engine torch by Clive Ward of the Night Vision store, and Bruce has again got it collimated, got it focused. It's recording 837 milliwatts.
And if we do the same trick with the black bin bag, you can see it also burns an even bigger hole.
Yeah, straight through. A little bit
Straight.
of smoke from the bin bag. And again, we can't see the laser, the red glow of the laser light, but the mobile phone's picking it up.
So that's another one I wouldn't want to look into. Definitely not. Okay, so now we've got the Syrius XTL illuminator, which uses a diffuser over the top of the VCSEL and a much larger lens than the other two. And if you can see that the power at the same distance is much lower, 38 milliwatts. And you can see there's no tight spot. The beam is much more spread out. There's no tightly focused spot of light here. And if I do the bin bag test, you can see nothing burns. Okay? I can leave that on there for as long as I want, and it will not burn a hole.
And again, we can't see that pink light in the with the naked eye.
But you can see it on your. You can see that on the which is great actually, because you're going to see that in the video. But you can see there's absolutely nothing going to be burning here. So this is a much safer illuminator than the other two. This one, I still wouldn't recommend looking straight at it, but the risks associated with this are far less than they are with the Solaris or the Black Sun. Two reasons for that. One is that this has a diffuser fitted directly over the top of the VCSEL, which spreads the light out. And also the big thing is that the lens on this is much larger. So as you could see from the video that the light wasn't being focused down into a tight beam. It was basically spread out all over the front of there. Having said that, when you take this into the field, as you saw from the video that we did with the PARD and the Syrius, this thing is powerful. This thing really does illuminate very well at long range. It's powerful enough to make the PARD 008 camera white out. It overloads the camera at 200 yards. So there's no compromise in terms of its long range performance as an illuminator. But it's much safer than the other two because it's much less, because it's spreading its light out more, it's much less dangerous. So you've got what, 38 milliwatts, and what were we measuring? 800 milliwatts with the Black Sun and 500 with the Solaris.
Right, so this Syrius XTL is the one used in the second half of that video.
That's right.
Okay, cool.
So that's my little preaching session over about why, if I was buying an external illuminator, that's why I would buy the Syrius rather than the other two, simply because I know that they work, they all work. The other problem you can have with these VCSEL illuminators is what we call the black hole problem. They often produce a beam which is like a door-ring shape, with a darker area in the center and a lighter halo around the outside. Now, putting a diffuser in front of the VCSEL chip will often resolve that issue, and that's certainly the case with the Syrius. Having the diffuser does give a much more even illuminated area, which you can see from the video that we did earlier with the PARD and the Syrius. The Syrius is an evenly illuminated area. Some of the others tend to have a bit of a black hole in the middle.
Right, and where did you get the Syrius XTL
This comes from IR light bulbs. IR light bulbs, and I also believe that Blackwood Outdoors sell these as well.
Okay, so I'll put some
Yeah,
I'll put some links below.
Some links for that.
Okay, so this is the PARD 008 with which version of firmware?
This is the
Bruce?
latest version 1.25, which has got the power upgrade.
Okay,
So we've got the IR on at the moment. Beam as tight focus as it'll go. We're on IR power 3, and you can see that if I actually move the amount, that you can see this, roughly the size of the beam is being produced.
there's a slight
Slight
black spot in the middle.
Yeah, and
And if as Bruce is moving the sensor,
so as I move it backwards and forwards, you can see.
that's doing 200 milliwatts.
So it's about 200 milliwatts. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let's try the burning the black bag test. PARD takes a bit longer to do it, but it does burn a hole
At 200 milliwatts.
at 200 milliwatts power at roughly 200 millimeters distance. So you can see there's enough power. There's less power than there is with the Solaris and the Black Sun, but there is still sufficient power there to burn a hole in a black plastic bag.
Yeah, there it goes.
There you go. There you go. You can see if you look at the picture that Russ has taken here, you can see the pattern. You can see that the difference with the PARD is that the beam is larger than the hole,
Yes.
whereas with the Solaris and with the Black Sun, the beam was smaller than the hole, so you were measuring all of the power of the beam with those, and that hole is roughly the size of the human pupil, maximum dilation as it would be in darkness, particularly for young people. So all of the light from the Solaris and the Black Sun would be going straight into your eye, whereas with the PARD, not all of it's going into the eye. All of that stuff around the outside of the hole is not going into your eye, so it's not hurting you. So the PARD is actually safer than the Solaris or the Black Sun.